My name is Kelsey Ramirez, and at 29 I thought I'd buried all hope of hearing from my mom again. 5 years of dead silence had forced me to move on. Last Friday, during our weekly family dinner in our Las Vegas suburb home, the doorbell rang. A delivery guy handed me a gift box, the label scrawled with her unmistakable handwriting. My heart pounded excitement mixed with dread. I started tearing the wrapping, but my billionaire dad leapt up shouting, "Don't open it." The room froze. My brother and the others stared eyes wide as tension choked the air. "What's going on?" I snapped, voice trembling. He didn't answer, just glared at the box like it was poison. I couldn't stop myself. I ripped it open. Inside was a letter, short and cryptic. "This is for you." A faded photo from a childhood fishing trip lay next to a small wooden bird carved with eerie precision, symbolizing freedom. The handwriting looked off, uneven, not quite hers. My stomach twisted. Something was wrong. I glanced at Dad, his face pale, lips tight. Why was he so scared? What did he know? My fingers shook as I held the bird, its tiny details screaming secrets I wasn't ready for. What I saw in that box made my heart stop cold. Before I dive into what happened next, comment below where you're watching from and hit subscribe if a family surprise ever turned your world upside down. Stay tuned. 2 days after that tense dinner, I sat in my apartment overlooking the Vegas Strip, replaying my life. I'm a journalist who'd clawed my way to a corner office at a Las Vegas paper exposing financial scams. The neon glow of casinos outside my window felt like a mirror to my restless mind, bright, chaotic, hiding shadows. That gift box from my mom after 5 years of silence dragged up memories I'd fought to bury, pulling me back to a childhood splintered by her absence. My dad, a billionaire who'd built a tech empire in Vegas's startup boom, raised me and my brother alone after a bitter divorce when I was 10. His mansion in a gated suburb with its polished marble and sleek chandeliers was a fortress of discipline. Dad pushed us to forge our own paths, his wealth a safety net we weren't allowed to touch. Weekly family dinners were his rule, non-negotiable, even with the empty chair where Mom used to sit. My brother, 32, worked in Dad's company, crunching numbers and sealing deals. His loyalty to Dad was fierce, almost suffocating, and I envied their late-night talks about mergers while I chased deadlines. Mom was a storm we couldn't tame. Her addiction to pills started before I could spell prescription. Living in Dad's shadow broke her. Every failed startup, every promise to get clean, crumbled under the weight of his success. She'd show up with gifts, a cheap necklace, a stuffed bear, swearing we'd go camping, only to vanish for months. I'd wait by the phone, heart sinking each time her number didn't ring. In rare, sober moments, she'd sit me down, braid my hair, and whisper plans for a fresh start. Those moments kept me hoping even when hope felt foolish. 5 years ago, everything shattered. At my 24th birthday party, Mom showed up, eyes glassy, voice slurred. The dining room, packed with Dad's business friends, turned into a battlefield. She accused Dad of controlling her, trapping her in his wealth. "You suffocate everyone," she screamed, knocking over a wine glass. My brother jumped in, calling her a leech who'd rather pop pills than face reality. I stood frozen, caught between defending her and knowing he wasn't entirely wrong. Dad's face was stone, but his hands shook. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. That was the last we heard from her. I spent months after that chasing her shadow. Emails went undelivered, calls hit a deadline. I scoured her old social media, nothing but a blurry photo from years back. By year 2, I gave up. My career became my lifeline. Digging into crooked hedge funds and shady CEOs let me control something, anything, in a world Mom had left in pieces. The irony wasn't lost on me. Family drama drove me to expose lies for a living. My brother never stopped throwing jabs at her during dinners, calling her selfish, unreliable. Dad stayed quiet, but his clenched jaw said enough. I wanted to argue, to say she wasn't all bad, but words failed me. She'd chosen to disappear, leaving us to stitch together a life without her. Those years hardened me. I learned to trust evidence over promises, to question every smile. Dad's insistence on family dinners despite the tension was his way of proving we were enough. My brother's cynicism stung, but I understood it. We'd all been burned. Sitting in my apartment, the Vegas lights blurring through my window, I wondered why Mom sent that box now. Was she really back? Or was this another lie? My gut churned with questions, ones I wasn't sure I wanted answered. A week later, I drove to Dad's office in a Vegas high-rise to show him the gift box. The elevator ride up felt endless, the box heavy in my lap like a ticking bomb. I needed his take on it. His sharp eye for details had built his empire. He was at his desk, surrounded by screens flickering with stock charts, his tie loosened after a long call. I placed the box in front of him, opening it to reveal the letter. This came from Mom. I said, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. He picked up the letter, scanning the words. "This is for you," with a raised eyebrow. He pulled out a magnifying glass from his drawer, leaning in close. The office was quiet, save for the hum of the air conditioning. My brother arrived moments later, his briefcase in hand, fresh from a client meeting. He glanced at the box, his expression skeptical. I handed him the letter too, hoping he'd recognize something I'd missed. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a similar envelope. "She sent me this a few weeks ago," he said, unfolding it. The note demanded $200,000 for some business opportunity promising big returns. It sounded desperate, not like her at all. Dad held both letters side by side under the desk lamp. "The downstrokes are too heavy here," he pointed out, tracing the lines with his finger. "And the spacing between words is wider than her usual style. Look at how the S loop sits missing that flick she always added." I peered closer, seeing the differences now that he mentioned them. The ink seemed pressed harder in spots, almost forced. My brother nodded, his face hardening. "This is fake Kelsey, but what if she's part of it? You know her history with money schemes." His words stung, and I felt heat rise in my cheeks. "She wouldn't scam us," I insisted, my voice rising. "She's our mom." He shook his head, pacing the room. "She's always been unreliable. Remember all those times she borrowed from Dad and never paid back? This could be her way of getting more." I wanted to argue, to remind him of her good days, but the evidence stared back at me. The photo in the box, that old fishing trip snapshot, felt manipulated now, like bait. Dad set the letters down, his expression grim. "This isn't from her. Someone's forging her identity to hit my accounts." I thought of his tech investments, the rivals he'd outmaneuvered. The box wasn't a reunion, it was a trap. My brother crossed his arms, his tone accusatory. "If it's not her, then who? And why use her name? She must be involved somehow." I glared at him, the room feeling smaller with every word. "You've always hated her. Can't you give her the benefit of the doubt?" He laughed bitterly. "Doubt she left us, Kelsey. This smells like her style." Dad intervened, his voice calm but firm. "Enough. We need facts, not fights." He rubbed his temples, the weight of it showing in his eyes. The scam targeted his fortune, but the real pain was the doubt it sowed about Mom. I paced near the window, the city below a blur of traffic. If this was fake, where was she? Was she okay, or in danger? The thought twisted my gut. My brother muttered about cutting losses, but I couldn't let it go. Dad picked up his phone. "We're hiring help," he said, dialing. "Thomas Fox is the top investigator in town. He's cracked fraud cases for major clients, discreet and thorough." The call connected, and Dad briefed him on the box, the letters, the handwriting, mismatches. "Trace whoever's behind this," he ordered, "and find out about her whereabouts." I listened, hope flickering amid the fear. My brother rolled his eyes, but even he stayed silent. Fox agreed to meet soon, his voice professional over the speaker. As Dad hung up, I stared at the box, its contents now evidence in a game I didn't understand. The scam was clear, but the questions lingered heavy as the desert heat outside. The next morning, Thomas Fox came to our house to start the investigation. His plain gray sedan rolled into the driveway of Dad's sprawling Las Vegas suburb mansion, looking out of place next to the polished Bentleys. We gathered in the living room, the high ceilings amplifying every tense word. Thomas Fox, a private investigator with graying hair and a calm intensity, carried a leather-bound notepad and a laptop. His rimless glasses caught the morning light as he sat across from us asking pointed questions about Mom. I recounted her patterns, her sudden absences, her promises that never materialized, my voice steady, but my fingers fidgeting. Dad stood by the window, his posture rigid, while my brother Ethan slouched on the couch, his face a mask of distrust. Fox opened his laptop, pulling up a database with a few swift clicks. I've traced Kristin to a trailer park in a small Arizona town just across the Nevada border, he said, showing us a satellite map. The location was isolated, a cluster of rusted trailers under a wide desert sky. He'd already spoken to locals by phone. Neighbors said she'd been there for months, living quietly, until a man named Corey Hunt showed up. They described Hunt as tall, bearded, with a salesman's charm that made them uneasy. One woman recalled seeing him load bags into a truck with Mom, moving fast like they were fleeing something. The image of her rushing off, maybe scared, twisted my stomach. Was she running from danger or toward it? Fox then turned to her financials, accessing bank records through a contact Dad had in the industry. The data was stark. For 2 years, her account showed minimal activity. Small deposits from carpentry work, enough for rent and basics. Then 6 weeks ago, everything changed. $50,000 appeared, moved out within days, repeated in 3 cycles. This screams money laundering, Fox said, pointing to the transactions on his screen. Dad's eyes narrowed. He'd seen similar patterns in his tech deals where rivals hid dirty cash. Ethan leaned forward, his voice sharp. That's her style, isn't it? Always chasing easy money. She's probably running this scam herself. His words hit like a slap, and I glared at him. You don't know that, I snapped. What if someone's forcing her? The argument flared, our voices bouncing off the walls. Ethan stood pointing at me. She's burned us before, Kelsey. Remember when she borrowed thousands from Dad for her startup scams? This is no different. I clenched my fists, memories of Mom's broken promises flooding back. But I couldn't believe she'd target us like this. She's our mom, Ethan. Maybe she's in trouble? Dad cut in, his tone cold. Enough. We need evidence. Not emotions. But Ethan's accusations lingered, making me question every memory of her. Was I naive to hope she was innocent? Then I remembered the call from the night before. I'd been in my apartment, the Vegas skyline glowing outside, when my phone rang, showing no caller ID. I answered, expecting a telemarketer, but heard only slow, heavy breathing. My heart raced as I said hello 3 times, each one louder. The silence on the other end felt deliberate, menacing. After 30 seconds, the line went dead. I told Fox, now my voice shaking as I described the eerie quiet. He scribbled notes, unfazed, but focused. Could be intimidation, he said. I'll try tracing it, though. Blocked calls are tough. Fox outlined his plan. Corey Hunt's our lead. I'll pull his criminal records, check for known associates, and dig into his recent movements. Dad nodded, authorizing full access to his resources. Ethan muttered about wasting money, his cynicism grating but not entirely baseless. As Fox packed up, promising to call with updates, I sat back, the weight of the unknown pressing down. The trailer park lead, the suspicious transfers, that chilling call, they pointed to something dark. But Ethan's doubts gnawed at me, making me wonder if Mom was victim or villain. A few days later, I sat at my kitchen table, examining the carved bird from the box. The wooden figure, no bigger than my palm, gleamed under the lamplight. I turned it over, tracing its smooth edges, when I noticed faint scratches beneath one wing. Using a magnifying glass, I made out tiny etched letters, SP34 newtons, 118 watts. My pulse quickened. It wasn't random, it pointed to a storage unit near the Arizona border, a place I'd never connected to Mom. The coordinates felt like a breadcrumb leading somewhere dangerous. I called Thomas Fox immediately. He arrived at my apartment within the hour, his notepad already open. I showed him the carving, pointing out the precise markings. He nodded, jotting them down, and pulled up his laptop to cross-reference the code. While he worked, he shared what he'd found on Corey Hunt. Hunt's a fraudster released from prison 8 months ago. Fox said, his voice steady. He's got a rap sheet, mostly cons targeting vulnerable people to get to wealthy families. He cozies up, gains trust, then exploits connections. The idea of Hunt manipulating Mom to get to Dad's fortune made my skin crawl. "Do you think he's forcing her?" I asked, hoping for reassurance. Fox's eyes met mine. "It's likely. She fits his profile, someone desperate, easy to control." The thought of Mom being coerced twisted my gut, but it gave me hope she wasn't the mastermind. Fox's findings painted Hunt as a predator who'd used her name, her past, to craft the scam. Dad's tech empire, with its millions in investments, was the perfect target. I wanted to believe Mom was a victim, but doubt lingered, fueled by years of her broken promises. Before I could dwell on it, the doorbell rang. A new package had arrived unmarked, left at my doorstep. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter demanding $2 million be wired to an offshore account, no questions asked. A USB drive held a video. I plugged it into my laptop, and Mom's face appeared. She looked exhausted, her cheeks hollow, eyes darting nervously. "Kelsey, Eric," she said, her voice strained, reading from a script. "Pay $2 million, or you'll never see me again." The video cut off abruptly, leaving me frozen. Dad, who'd joined us, stared at the screen, his face unreadable. Ethan burst in, having heard from Fox about the new lead. He watched the video, his expression darkening. "This is a setup. We need to call the cops now," he insisted, slamming his fist on the table. "She's in on it, Kelsey. Stop being naive." His words stung, reigniting our old fight. "We don't know," that I shot back. "What if she's being held against her will?" Dad raised a hand, silencing us. "We're not paying until we know more," he said, his tone final. He trusted Fox's instincts, and so did I. The coordinates on the bird were our best lead, pointing to a storage unit in Arizona. Fox confirmed it was a real facility not far from where neighbors had seen Mom with Hunt. "We should check it out ourselves," I said, my voice firm despite the fear creeping in. Ethan scoffed. "You're wasting time. The police can handle this." But Dad agreed with me, his eyes fixed on the paused video of Mom. "We find her first," he said. "Then we decide." Fox suggested we prepare to involve the FBI if the storage unit revealed more. "Hunt's record shows he's slippery," he warned. "If he's holding her, we need federal backup." I nodded, my mind racing with possibilities. Was Mom trapped, or had she chosen this path? The video's desperation felt real, but Ethan's doubts echoed in my head. As we planned to head to Arizona, the carved bird sat on the table, its coordinates a silent guide to whatever truth awaited us. That afternoon, we drove to an Arizona storage unit where the coordinates pointed. The desert road stretched endlessly, dust kicking up behind Dad's SUV as Fox navigated from the passenger seat. I sat in the back, nerves jangling, the carved bird tucked in my bag like a talisman. The facility was run-down, rows of metal doors baking under the sun. Fox flashed his ID to the manager, who grumbled, but handed over the key to Unit SP-34. We rolled up the door, revealing stacks of boxes labeled with Mom's handwriting. My throat tightened at the sight, her life packed away. We rummaged through the clutter, pulling out dusty clothes and old books. Near the back, Fox spotted a locked case. "This could be it," he said, prying it open with tools from his kit. Inside was Mom's laptop, its screen cracked but intact. He plugged it in the fan, whirring to life. Password protected, he noted, but his software bypassed it in minutes. Files flooded the screen, screenshots of transactions, spreadsheets of dubious deals. It was evidence of a Ponzi scheme run by Jordan Stone, Dad's main rival in Vegas tech ventures. Stone had funneled millions through fake investments, evading taxes and bribing officials. One file stood out, a voice memo from Mom. Her voice crackled through the speakers, tired but resolute. "Stone's setting Eric up," she said. "The subsidiaries link back to his companies through layers of shells. It's not him, it's Stone framing him for the fraud." I glanced at Dad, his face paling. Stone had blamed Dad for his partner's suicide years ago, a business deal gone sour. This was revenge, pure and simple. Ethan, who'd insisted on coming, listened with arms folded. "She knew too much," he muttered. "This proves she was in deep." Fox opened the email folder next. Messages to an FBI agent named Catherine Lane detailed Mom's role as an informant. She'd infiltrated Stone's operation after stumbling into it through carpentry work at his offices. But the last emails were alarming. Lane warned her cover might be blown, urging immediate extraction. Stone had discovered her, leading to her disappearance. Lane hinted at coercion. Mom had handled some dirty money to maintain her role. Ethan seized on that. "See, she's guilty. She touched that cash willingly. We shouldn't waste time saving her." His words exploded the room, and I spun on him. "She was risking everything to protect Dad." "How can you say that?" The argument raged, voices echoing in the cramped unit. Ethan paced, his face red. "She's always been a liability. This informant story is just an excuse for her messes." I felt fury boil over. "You've hated her forever. She's our mom. She deserves a chance." Dad stayed silent, scrolling through the files, his expression a mix of shock and relief. Fox intervened, closing the laptop. "We have proof now. Stone's empire crumbles with this." But Ethan wasn't done. "If she handled money, she's as guilty as him. Let the feds deal with her." I couldn't wait any longer. Stepping outside the unit, I dialed the number from the emails. Catherine Lane answered on the second ring, her voice crisp and professional. "This is Agent Lane." I explained who I was, mentioning the laptop and coordinates. She paused, then confirmed Mom's informant status. "She was key to our case against Stone," Lane said. "But yes, she managed some funds under duress to stay undercover. We planned to extract her, but she vanished." I pressed for details. Lane hinted at a trap. Stone's men had grabbed her. "We need to move fast," she said. "Meet me in Vegas tomorrow. We'll set a plan to get her out." Back inside, I relayed the conversation. Dad nodded, ready to act. Ethan rolled his eyes, but even he saw the stakes. Fox copied the files to a drive, securing our evidence. As we locked up the unit and headed back to the SUV, the desert sun setting low, I felt a fragile resolve. Mom's double life explained so much, but Ethan's accusations hung heavy. The trap was set, but the family divide felt wider than ever. The next morning, we met FBI agent Catherine Lane at a Vegas hotel to set the trap. The conference room was sterile, with a long table and a window framing the strip's chaos. Lane, sharp in her suit, laid out the plan: a fake press conference announcing Dad's retirement to lure Jordan Stone out. The laptop evidence from the storage unit, screenshots, and Mom's voice memo would be teased as a leak to rattle him. I sat beside Dad, my hands clasped tightly, while Ethan fidgeted, still skeptical. Lane's team had tracked Stone to a warehouse near the Arizona border, close to the storage unit's coordinates. The trap was simple: draw him in, raid the hideout, save Mom. By noon, the press conference aired on local news. Lane's agents posed as reporters, dropping hints about Dad's exit due to fraud allegations. Stone took the bait, arriving at the hotel to confront Dad, his face smug, until FBI tactical teams swarmed. Simultaneously, Lane led a raid on the warehouse. We waited in a van outside, my pulse pounding as radios crackled with updates. The team breached the building, finding Mom inside, bruised and exhausted, tied to a chair. Corey Hunt tried to flee but was tackled. Stone was cuffed, his Ponzi scheme exposed by the laptop files. I exhaled relief, mixing with dread, as Mom was freed. Back at the FBI field office, Lane debriefed us. Stone's empire collapsed, bankruptcy loomed as investors pulled out. Hunt faced new charges, fraud and kidnapping, ensuring years behind bars. Mom's situation was murkier. Evidence confirmed she'd handled dirty money for Stone, coerced to keep her cover as an informant. Lane secured a deal 3 years in federal prison, a reduced sentence for her cooperation. Dad's face hardened at the news. She betrayed us, he said, his voice cold. No more contact. I stared stunned as he walked away, cutting her out for good. Ethan sided with Dad, his anger spilling over. She's a criminal, Kelsey. You were stupid to defend her. We stood in the office's sterile hallway, voices rising. She was forced, Ethan. She risked her life to expose Stone. I shouted, my hands shaking. He scoffed, stepping closer. You're blind. She chose this mess over us, just like always. His words cut deeper than I expected, echoing years of resentment. I wanted to argue to make him see her sacrifice, but his contempt silenced me. Dad's decision was final, and Ethan's loyalty to him left no room for debate. I felt the family fracture widen, irreparable. Months later, I left Las Vegas for good. I settled in a new city, a quiet coastal town far from the Strip's glare. My apartment was small, but mine filled with books and a desk where I wrote freelance articles. The carved bird sat on a shelf, a reminder of the chaos I'd escaped. I hadn't spoken to Dad or Ethan since the fight. Their refusal to forgive Mom, to see her as more than her mistakes, broke something in me. I tried calling Mom once in prison, but the line was silent, her choice to stay distant clear. The secrets her informant role. Stone's vendetta, the scam, shattered our trust. Looking back, I learned a hard truth. Family secrets erode faith like rust. Mom's hidden life, Dad's cold rejection, Ethan's bitter judgment, they tore us apart. I'd spent years chasing answers, hoping to rebuild what we had, but some bonds are too broken to mend. Cutting ties wasn't easy, but it was survival. In my new life, I built my own path free from their shadows. The past stayed in Vegas, a city of illusions I no longer believed in.